again, does anybody even understand in the business today, these days, what a rib is versus when you're either being mean-spirited or trolling somebody on Twitter or they thought, oh yeah, the way the guys used to rib people was the Bulldogs and Rougeau's thing where they all got into fights and tried to kill each other or whatever. There's no happy medium. There's no just fun ribs in the business anymore, it seems like.
No more midgets jumping out of trunks or anything like that, no.
No more naked midgets. That's right. And the X-Lax, go ahead. I was just going to say.
That's the thing. I mean, there's a prank and a rib, and then there are things too far, like the Briscoes throwing guys in their trunk and just taking off with them. I mean, that's probably too far.
Well, the Briscoes spent some time in a trunk once too, but that wasn't a rib. But what's the matter with a good X-Lax chocolate chip cookie rib? I mean, some people think it's the shits, but did I ever? I've told you.
Did you think of that one last night when you were dreaming?
Well,
were you dreaming about Landon and these jokes?
No, I've told you that. I've told you the rib they used to play in Tennessee where they would shoot somebody and then make an innocent bystander help dispose of the body, right? I've told you that one. But I told you the time that Nina Bond in The Office had to help dispose of Sam Bass's body. But they used to mess with her all the time. The boys, when they would come in the office, they used to, they always had Nick Goulas always had his wrestling office for some reason, and a lot of wrestling promoters did in the old days, at a hotel downtown. And they would actually sell tickets out of it sometimes, as well as, they might have the wrestlers stay there when they came into town. But Goulas Welch was in the Maxwell House Hotel and the Sam Davis Hotel and various places during the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then, of course, Nick built his own place right 2 years before he went out of business. But anyway, so besides Nick and Roy in the office, and the guys would come in from time to time to get their checks or complain about bookings or whatever, Christine Jarrett was the bookkeeper, and she worked there, but they also had a secretary named Nina Bond. And the guys used to mess with Nina Bond, play ribs on her terribly. And at one point, they pulled the X-Lax cookie rib on poor Nina Bond. But the thing was, at the hotel that they had their offices in at the time, the old days, the downtown hotels, I know people now are thinking like a Hampton Inn. How did that work, right? It was an old-fashioned downtown hotel, and there was a restaurant on the first floor and maybe a cocktail lounge and probably some, gift shops or miscellaneous stores. And then maybe the second or third floor would be offices. And then you'd get up farther and they'd be hotel rooms. And on the floor that the wrestling office was on, there was no bathroom. So they gave her the gimmick cookies. And Christine Jarrett told us this story years later. And it was so funny, not only because it was a funny story, but also because it was coming from Teenie, and she's trying not to say any bad words or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did she find the humor in any of this?
Well, yeah, because she at the same time, you've never seen a person tell a story with compassion for the person that was being ribbed while at the same time giggling at the memory. And then at the same time, by the end of it, winding up with a tisk on those boys that used to do that kind of thing. But they gave her the gimmick cookies, and it started working on her. And of course, Teenie didn't know that the cookies were gimmicked ahead of time, or she probably would have intervened, but she was not aware of the situation till it was too late. And all of a sudden, Nina Bond jumps up and starts running for the door of the office, and boom, and slams the door, and they don't, what the fuck? And they went looking for her a little while later on, and she said there was a trail of just shit. She didn't say it like that, but she said there was a trail down the hallway and stopped at the elevator door. And then when the elevator doors opened, there was a big spot in the elevator, And then they went down to the first floor, and there was a trail that started out of that door.
Terrible.
But she was the one. I told you the story about Sam Bass's body, right?
I'm not sure. I know you've told me a story about a few bodies. I don't know if that was one of them.
Well, the one in Behind the Curtain, my highly prized graphic novel on sale at JimCornette.com, is about the Fargos with the hitchhiker. But so one day, Sam Bass, this had to be either late 60s, early 70s, probably, because Sam wouldn't have been around. He comes in the office and tells Nina Bond he's hot, he's pissed off, he's mad at Roy. He wants to fucking talk to Roy Welch. Oh, and he storms in the office, and the door slams, and you can hear, apparently, loud voices over a payoff or money in general or whatever the case. And all of a sudden, you hear the gunshot. Bam! And then Roy Welch comes out of the office and looks at Nina and says, "Come in here." And there's Sam Bass laid on the floor, graveyard dead to the naked eye. And Roy says, "We got to get him out of here." What? And he makes this woman help him get Sam's dead body. He carries it, but he's like, "Come on with me." And they go, apparently, because they were tenants, they go to the, what do they call it? The freight elevator in the old days, or the service elevator or whatever. And they go down, it goes out in a back alley, and he throws Sam's body in a dumpster and says, "Don't tell anybody you haven't seen him. We're going to go around the front, act like we've just come in." So meanwhile, however long it takes to get out of sight, Sam jumps out of the dumpster and goes back up the way and beats him back up there. And when they go back in the fucking wrestling office, the first thing Nina Bond sees is the dead body of Sam Bass laying in her fucking office chair, fucking with his tongue stuck out. I wonder
how did she
why
react?
She didn't quit. Well, she screamed and yelled and fucking twittered about. What do you think you're going to do when you see the body you just disposed of back in your chair? But see, now that was the wrestling business. That was good shit. Anyway, when's the last time somebody asked you to help dispose of a body?
I'm not answering that.
Oh, I forgot. You're from New Jersey.
I'm from Long Island. I live in New Jersey.
Well, that's your fault too, isn't it now?
I'm very proud of both of those facts.
So Long Island doesn't meet your expectations anymore?
No, it does not.
Well, I'm sure they're sorry to hear about that. What could they do to make it better?
Make it easier to hide a body.
Well, I can't argue with that.